Hello, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Fun Fold Friday. What a week it's been. I've been outside in the woods all week with my students doing a forest study, and I'll tell you, what a week it was. I was bit by something yesterday on my face, and I had some sort of reaction to it, so it's been a crazy couple of days. But I am excited to be here tonight. Last Friday, I didn't join you because of some stomach bug I was having, so I'm so glad that I feel well enough to join you tonight. And I hope you enjoy tonight's Fun Fold. So last week I was going to kick off the month of September with Gathering Moments bundle, and because I'm also using the Gathering Moments stamp set for Simply Stamping Sunday, and so I really wanted to do the card that I had planned on making last week. So we'll be using this stamp. We're going to be using the 3 leaves and the acorn, and we're going to be using one of the sentiments to make our fun fold tonight. So let's just move that out of the way and let's take a look. I've kind of hidden this for a big surprise reveal. I just want to remind you, I'll be decorating my envelope tonight. You don't want to leave your envelope without any type of embellishment. So I've added some of the designer series paper to the back, and I have stamped the front. So there's room for my address, the stamp, and my return address. So let's look at tonight's card. This is what it looks like. And you might be wondering, well, what is the fun fold? Well, tonight's fun fold is called a hidden flap fun fold. So here's how I've decorated. And this little panel here opens up to that hidden flap. So this is the hidden flap. It can stand. Now this card opens up, but it can stand on its own. You can see the little T shape it makes on the inside to open up. And I can't fold it all the way over on the front of the card because of my leaf I have here. Otherwise it would be able to fold open, but the way I made it, it's not going to. But you can see what the inside looks like, and then when you open it, you have plenty of room to write your message. You could also add some cardstock up here and on the back if you had a lot to write. So let me show you how to make tonight's card. So here's what we need. For the inside of our card, we're going to need a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, piece of Very Vanilla. I could have used Basic White on this card, but I chose vanilla, but there is a lot of white in the designer series paper. You're also going to need an envelope. This is a piece of 2 1/4 by 6 inch designer series paper. We're going to be putting that on the back of our envelope. And then I've got a bunch of pieces of stuff. So let me just separate it all out, and let's start with the Early Espresso cardstock. So the Early Espresso cardstock measures 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. And while I've got this out, let's just score it. This is going to score just like a regular, I think it's called an A2 card, if I'm right. And I'm just going to put that in at 4 1/4, and I'm going to use my scoring blade and just score a couple of times to get the score line right into the middle of the cardstock. So that piece is scored for how we want it. Then I have a piece here that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's a 1/4 sheet of the cardstock. And we're going to score this at 1 3/8. So I'm going to move that to 1 3/8 and give that a good score. And then I'm going to move this to 2 3/4 and score that as well. And that's all the scoring we're going to need on tonight's card. So we'll set that aside and put away my paper trimmer. I have a piece here that measures 4 1/4 by 2 3/4 of the early Espresso cardstock. And then I have 2 pieces of paper that I'm going to be, that are the same size, that I'm going to be putting on the outside and the inside of the card. And it measures 2 5/8 by 4 1/8, and the same with the piece of vanilla. I have 1 piece of designer series paper that measures 1 1/4 by 4 1/8, and then I have 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 1 5/8 by 4 1/8. Let me just make sure. I think it's actually 1 1/2 by 4 1/8. And I just want to make sure I'm putting this together so that all the plaid matches up, so when I put it on the front of my card. So the first thing I'm going to do is just fold my base of my card in half, give it a nice burnish, and I'm going to turn that over to the front, and I'm going to start with these 2 pieces. So I'm going to take, now that I know that they match up, they don't have to match, I just like that in my head it does match, and I'm going to be putting this directly onto the front of the card. So I'm just going to line it up, make sure I have it even. There we go. This has the Cajun Craze, the crushed curry, and the early Espresso right on it. So it matches really nice with everything that I'm doing tonight. So now I'm going to put this piece over here, do the same thing, line it up on the card so it's nice and even, and that's what I need to do right now for the front of my card. That part is all set. I'm going to take the inside of my card, and I am going to take some Cajun Craze ink, the larger of the leaves, ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it right on the inside of the card. That is ready to go, so let me just close my ink pad so I don't get ink everywhere. This is ready to go inside the card. So I'll get the easy part done. Okay, there's the inside of our card. I'm going to set that aside for a moment. I might as well finish up with some of my stamping. So on this piece of very vanilla cardstock, I'm going to be stamping in early Espresso ink, my sentiment, and it's just going to say thankful for you. It's a card for a friend. So I'm going to ink that up and stamp that right in the middle. It's a little crooked, but that's okay. It's handmade. There's ways that I can kind of overshadow that. And I'm also going to take some old olive ink, and I'm going to take one of the leaf stamps and stamp that at the bottom of this. This piece I'm just going to be using to write my greeting to the person I'm going to send it to. There we go. So I don't really need a lot of room to write my letter. My letter can go right on the inside of the card, and I have enough room there. Okay, I'm going to just set that aside. I am going to take this piece of early Espresso paper, and I'm going to adhere this piece of designer series paper just trying to decide which way I want to have it be up and which way I want to have it be down. So we're just getting some of the little pieces together. There we go for that. I'm going to set that piece aside. And I think we'll finish my envelope before we actually, since there's some stamping on that too. So on the back flap of the envelope, I am going to add some adhesive going around the edge. And I'm just going to add a little bit on the inside as well. Let's see what happened. Kind of got on the inside a little bit of adhesive. I'll fix that later. And what I'm going to do is decide how I want this piece to be. And I'm just going to stick it on that back envelope flap. Just like that. Now I can probably get that bit of adhesive out. And I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to trim right around this on the envelope. This is a really nice way to use up any scraps you might have, or you know, just to make everything match. I just love how simple it is, but how beautiful it is too. And then on the front, I'm going to just take my Cajun Craze ink again and stamp another large leaf on the front of the envelope. And there we have it. So I think all of our stamping is done for tonight. So I'll set the envelope underneath the card. Now let's start working on this. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, this is going to go onto the front like this. Oh, excuse me, you can't see. It's going to go on the front like this. And I'm going to fold this, give it a really, really nice crease. And then this piece here, I'm going to fold back. So again, I'm going to give it a really nice crease. So this will be against the back of the card, and we'll have this little piece here. And then this is going to go on this front piece like this. And it closes up. It's all the same size. So that's where we get the hidden flap from. Alright. Now I'm just going to, where I cut it, get some of those edges off. I'm going to start by putting in my inside piece. And remember, it says thankful for you. There we go. And then I'm going to put my piece of designer series paper. Just have to decide which way I want it to go, and I think that's good. What I love about this designer series paper is one side has, you know, a great subtle pattern, and the other side has beautiful images of fall with some gold in it. So I'll hold this up and maybe just turn it on its edge, and hopefully you can see some of that beautiful gold in the veins of the leaves, the dots on the mushrooms. So it's really, really pretty. Okay, so we have that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some adhesive right to this flap, because this is where that other piece is going to go. And I want to be generous with my adhesive. So it's going to stay put. Now, I want to line this up so it's even with the top and the bottom, and the side. When you close it, the whole thing is going to shut, and you're not going to see the you're not going to see any of the edges. That's where we get our hidden flap. And you can see what I mean. It will fold all the way over, but once I get my leaf on, it won't. So I'm going to add this to the front of my card, and I'm going to actually use some tear and tape. It's going to have to stay put. It is going to be taking the brunt of that front of the card. It's going to be opened a lot. So I'm just going to use 3 pieces of tear and tape. It is one of the strongest adhesives that we sell. You could also use glue that will allow you to be able to move your panel or little flap around. I always like to just put my bone folder over that tear and tape. It seems to make it just easier to come off. So I'll just use my tool here, take all of those edges off. Before I put this on the front of my card, I want to just make sure I am holding it in the correct direction, because once this goes on, it's not coming off. So I want to line this up with the bottom edge of my card and make sure it is centered, and it needs to move over just a little bit. So you don't want to press this all the way down until you're happy with where it's at. So I can open that up, press that down, and now I'm ready to start working on decorating the front of my card. So remember, we have the inside, and then we have this hidden flap. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And what I want to show you, my goodness, where'd I put them? I don't want to have to cut them again. I have a couple of leaves to show you and I'll show you the dies. Okay, here we go. So one of the very, at least what I think is a cool thing with this stamp set and dies, is that in the dies we have this really large oak leaf and a really large maple leaf. And notice on the inside it has a little plate that you can use to add some dimension to your die cut image. So if I just use the die itself, we just end up with a beautiful maple leaf. It doesn't do anything but cut out a maple leaf. That's what we're going to use tonight, but I'm going to do something with it. Next, when you use the plate, this is what you get. You get a maple leaf with the veins, but the veins are all like dots that have been cut out, just little circles that have been cut out of the leaf. So this can go over cardstock, or it can go over designer series paper, and you're going to see a little bit of color underneath it. Just kind of cool. What I did with the leaf was I used the embossing folder that goes with this sweet collection, and it has these little tiny leaves on it. So I put the maple leaf inside the embossing folder. I could actually emboss a couple at a time, and I then embossed it. This is a 3D embossing folder. So I got this beautiful pattern on it. Okay, so let's use this as our focal point, and we're going to use some of the image that I already stamped and die cut out. So I have a few of the, So this is what I made first, but it just seemed too small for the leaf. So when I put that on the leaf, I I think was underwhelmed on the leaf. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I decided to use 2 of each. So I've got here 2 pine cones, 2 of the green leaves, and this is going to leave me with some extra, 2 of the crushed curry leaves, and I'm going to use 2 of the Cajun Craze leaves. Let me just put the extras over here. So what I did first was I wanted to make a nice base for my little spray of leaves, and so I put these 2 together and kind of spread them out like that. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive here, and I'm going to put these together so that they're spread out, and I'm actually going to put it on my silicone mat, so any adhesive that's not used by how I'm doing this won't stick. Then the next thing I did was I took my 2 yellow leaves and I put them together kind of close to each other, because I'm going to put this right in the center, but I'm going to take and put this a little lower in the center because I wanted to have these actually hang down below the leaves like that. So they're not hanging a lot down, but they are hanging a little bit. So I'll put some adhesive back here, and then I'm going to add these so that they hang down a bit. Then I'm going to take my 2 green leaves, and I'm going to actually put these across the top. So I'm going to cover the top of the yellow leaves so it doesn't look like they're as small as they are. And then I'm going to put this one like that. So here's where we're going with our spray. I'm going to take 1 acorn and put it down flat and turn it a little bit to the right. And then I'm going to use a dimensional, and I'm going to put that right in the center of the acorn. And I'm going to put that like that. And this is what our spray looks like when it's all said and done. I'm going to be attaching this to the leaf, and I'm going to use dimensionals to do that. And so what I like to do with my dimensionals is to make sure I'm going over some of the seams so that it just has a little bit extra holding everything together. There we go. That looks like enough. I don't like to go too scrimpy on my dimensionals, because once you put it in the envelope, if you don't have enough dimensionals, you might get some of your raised image caved in. So that's what I like to do. Okay, we almost got all the backings off. Just one to go. And I am going to be putting this facing this way, and I am going to put this right on the front of the leaf. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. I just think this is so pretty. So that's what it looks like. And I am just going to use some adhesive to put this on the front of the card. The sides are going to be hanging over. So I just want that adhesive in the middle. Okay, we are just about done. So now I'm going to take this beautiful mesh gold ribbon. It's gold striped. It's just so pretty. I want to pull out some of these gold accents. So I'm going to start by just making a bow. Hi, Angela. Thanks for joining me tonight. So let me just make my bow. I'm not going to knot it too much yet because I want to make it much smaller. Oh, almost. Okay, I'm just going to trim the ends. By making it on the spool, I only waste a little bit. And that's my plan. I'm going to grab a glue dot. And I'm going to put this right on the stem of the leaf and just kind of tuck the bow in under. And there we go. So that's what the bow looks like. Now I'm going to take, I want it to stick with the gold. So I'm using our flower accents. I'm just using the little ones. And I'm going to put a bunch of these on just to, again, highlight those gold accents. So we're going to put one above. We'll put two over here. And I'm going to actually put 5 on. I'm just going to go crazy tonight. And put 2 more there. And that, my friends, is our fun fold for tonight. So again, it's a hidden flap fun fold. So it sits upon a regular card base. And then you take that smaller piece and you create this hidden flap underneath. That when they pull out of the envelope, they're not going to see it. And we also stamped and added some designer series paper to our envelope. So here are the cards we made tonight. My sample. And that's going to open like that. And that is our fun fold for this week. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will be back Sunday night for another edition of Simply Stamping Sunday. And of course back again next Friday night for Fun Fold Friday. Thank you for taking your time over this beautiful weekend to watch the replay or the live. I appreciate you. Take care, everyone. Good night.